right, guys, welcome to another episode of Mommy and Me Mondays. I'm Brii Renee, straight from the A.
And I am the original Miss Renee from the A.
Okay. Girl, she be cracking me up. But this time you did it real good. It was smooth, it flowed, and everything. It just rolled off your tongue. She's still in my tag.
I think it's you introducing yourself and then her saying, I'm the original. So it's like, that was cute. But let's reel it back in. I'm the original.
Right.
Because without me, there'd be no her.
Right. And she got to let everybody know she's from Atlanta, too. It's a whole thing. Anyways, shout out to everybody that subscribes to the channel, liking, sharing, and commenting. We cannot continue to grow if it's not for you guys that are tuned in every single week and sharing this content. And I'm really, really excited for this episode. I think when I started this, we actually decided to make this a full podcast and have these conversations. The guest that we have today is literally one of the very first people that I was like, I want her on and I want to have this conversation with her. And I'm so excited to have the phenomenal entrepreneur, mother, overall boss chick, Sevyn in the building. Miss Buffins.
Look, I'll have I'm from all over the place, child. I wouldn't even be able to say anything, but Sevyn Buffins, I'm excited, Brii. Once you said, I told my wife, I was like, I can't cancel on Brii not one more time. So as soon as we in town, clear out the calendar because I got to make sure I go.
I appreciate it. I know you busy. Y'all always doing a million and one things. So for you to fit us in your schedule, I really, really appreciate it. And I'm really excited to have this conversation.
Me too.
Welcome, welcome, welcome.
It's been long awaited.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I know I have kind of said, the guests that we've brought on, we haven't had many yet, but the ones that we have had, I purposely selected because of maybe something in their journey, reminded me of, our last week we had the girl who did real estate. And so her journey in real estate reminded me of you. You know what I mean? And then so I don't want y'all to be like, you always think somebody remind you of your mama. But it's for different reasons. And I think that it's the strength and the power in women that I see that reminds me of the first example I had of a strong woman was you. So Sevyn, I think definitely we connected many years ago. Now it's been a while. Now we've been knowing each other.
It's been some years.
Yeah.
It's been as long as
before Parker was born.
Yeah, it's been as long as me and Annie been together. So 5 years.
Yeah. 5 years. And when I met her and her wife, I think y'all weren't even married yet. Y'all had just got together. They were dating, and they were deciding to go through the process of conceiving a child through artificial insemination. So they took me on a little shake date. They are Herbalivers, so they always talk about their shakes and they meal preps and they products. And so they took me on a shake date, the peach drop, and they just sat me down and asked me all the questions they had about is it called in vitro?
Well, we did IUI. So it's kind of every process is different.
Okay.
What most people will be able to know it as, if you just spit it out there to somebody, is IUI or IVF. So we did IUI.
Yeah. And so they asked me all the questions about it. And so I love that you guys did your research and tried to find somebody who was an adult. Because I think I'm the only adult that I know. Yeah. I know babies now. Through the process. But I'm the only adult, so I commend y'all for doing that. But I'm like, dang, this is a conversation that I feel needs to be had on a bigger platform.
Yeah.
And I want for you to ask some of those questions again if you can, or if you have any new questions. And I thought it would be really dope for you to see a younger version of you.
A younger version of me.
Going through, because my mom also is married to a woman, decided to do it with her partner.
Yeah.
And so I'm sure that you will both have similar struggles or obstacles, maybe even questions that you might have for her. You know what I mean? And I think that it's just a full circle,
It was exciting for you. I think the thing that attracted me more so to even ask is because, when you brought it up, you always brag about your mom. I don't even know if you do it intentionally or not, but you're literally always bragging about your mom. So when you finally was just oh, I was an IUI baby, you was like, I came like that. I was so shocked because I was reading all these blogs and stuff, and the kids hated their parents. So it was making me be I don't know, I don't know if I'm ready. And you were literally bragging on your mom. And then I felt of course you don't know anybody's full spectrum of their life, or you kind of get to see people's highlights. But your highlights at that moment, it was just kind of okay, well, it seems like you have a great relationship with your parents, and you were excited about the process, even though it wasn't like everybody else, so to say, or whatever. So I was it really made me more comfortable, because after we talked is when I did the first cycle, because I finally was okay, well, I found somebody older, and it was a conversation that felt very comfortable for me. And when you described it and like just described how you looked at your life right now, it made me feel like, okay, well, I can have a child and I'll be able to have these tough conversations, and it won't be like I feel like you're going through your whole life looking for somebody that I'm not able to provide.
Yeah, I think so too. What was you about to say, Mom?
Well, it's interesting because for her to hear people say she bragged about me or she bragged on me.
Because I was.
When she and I have butted heads for a long time. And we've gotten to a point over the recent years that we can really say we're friends now.
Yeah.
You know, I don't have to be so much mother right now. You know, we can be friends. I can be mother and still, you know, a friend.
You are more of my, even though you don't like to be my little friend, you my homegirl.
It takes time for us to make our mom our little friends. I just got there with my mom.
Hold on.
She not the
little friend.
Not the big friend. The big, to be friends in general, it takes time. I will say it takes time because for a long time, I grew up depressed and suicidal, like since I was 12 years old. And for a long time, for different things, I just resented my mom. Like, it was just different times where I just didn't understand her or whatever. But I think the more adult I got, the more human it made my mom. So it made me want to be friends, so that, like, now I feel like, you know, your mom tell you stuff or your grandmother tell you stuff and you don't really understand it. As you get older, you start to have those aha moments like, oh, that's why you told me that. That's why you raised me like that. That's why you said I couldn't go to this person's house. So it humanizes your parents, and it makes you want to not only like be friends with them, but know more about them, because now it feels like, okay, you can make my journey in life easier. And it's some stuff that like I can just talk to you about and I don't have to go through that. But as we growing up, it's not, well, want to be cool. It feels like you just like being like, do this because of this. It's like, I don't understand that.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
And now I actually can say, hey, I wish I had more conversations about this and that. I think that's what kind of sparked this podcast. I'm like, I want to know more. I didn't, because I was so rebellious and put this wall up, I didn't seek your advice or knowledge as much as I could have.
You know, and that I can honestly say, as a kid growing up myself, I didn't quite understand my mom. I thought my mama was probably the meanest bitch on the earth, you know. But as I grew older, I grew to understand her.
Yeah.
And I understood her pains and her growing, you know, up, and the way she grew up and what the reason why she was the way she was. And so I do get it. I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. So
but back to what you were saying, I know you always are very vocal about, you know, your struggles with suicide and depression. And I thought just from following you, it was something that you went through in your later years of life. But you said since you were 12 years old, like what was that like, or what pushed you into that state? You think?
Well, I had my first experience of just like a really dark moment, I would call it. And I had started cutting myself at 12. And it was just like something that had happened. I want to say that's why I said conversations are more important, because as a child, my parents let me decide who I wanted to go live with. And at the time, I really, like, I'm a daddy's girl. Me and my dad are best friends. I love my dad. And I really wasn't understanding my mom. So it's kind of like, I was like, oh, well, I want to go stay with my dad. And I went to stay with my dad, and then I was staying out there, you know, and I felt like at 12 years old, although my grandmother was raising me, and I felt great about everything, and I was a pastor's kid, so I was going to church all the time. So I started to first get kind of like upset about that, because I'm like, I want to be able to do stuff outside of church. Like, my friends was like going different places, and my cousins was, and like, for us that was in church, we was just like always in church. Like, you got Bible study, you got junior usher board, you got junior choir, you in second service, first service. So, you know, but now I'm glad my grandma took me away from some things so I could really lean in and focus. But my grandmother was one of those that paid attention to me as a child. And I think a lot of people don't necessarily pay that much attention. And she had looked down at my arm while I was getting dressed. And the thing that had sparked it was I was just really kind of feeling at first like overwhelmed as a kid. Like, I didn't really know if I wanted to stay with my mom or my dad. I felt very left out because my sisters would be like bragging and like they was having so much fun, and I was still living with my grandmother. And so I felt like I was like missing out on things and different things like that. And the city that we kind of grew up in, and when I was in Kansas City, I wanted to cheer and different things like that, but majority everybody was white. And so, once you start, and I've always been like a bottom heavy, like curvy type of girl. So I kind of started feeling really out of place. Like maybe I should be in Atlanta and, people look more like me out here.
Was that where your mom was?
Yeah, my mom was in Atlanta. I was in Kansas City, and it wasn't so, suburban, and I wasn't feeling like out of place. Because in Kansas City, when I went to school, I did feel really out of place. So that was my first time really like cutting myself, was coming home from school just feeling kind of like, I don't want to do this. Like, I don't really feel it. And it was kind of like a downward spiral then. Like I wasn't really, I can see it now, but my grandma seen it and she immediately put me into therapy. And
oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Your grandma put you in therapy?
Yeah, she immediately made me, put me in therapy. She made the, you make the counselor and stuff aware.
Especially in the church family, because they'll think we could just pray it away.
No, she didn't even really go that route. I think it was because she was protecting me from people feeling like they could just come and pray over me, and embarrass me. And she never wanted to do that. We was kind of like, what's going on in the home is at home. And everybody knowing, especially growing up in a church, everybody knowing in your business in church don't mean that they gonna make sure you good. So she immediately put me into therapy, and I didn't think the therapy helped because in therapy, sometimes they don't really teach you personal development. So they just kept trying to bring up all these rooted issues that they thought I had that I didn't, when I was literally just trying to figure myself out.
That's good. What do you think brought you out of there, or how long did you struggle with it?
Until I was 25. Yep.
Wow.
Until I was 25, I felt like as I grew older into it, like I always seemed happy. Like I had really good grades in school. I still participated in sports and different things like that. And I got out of school, still really doing very well. I started doing hair. I had got like a full ride scholarship to hair school, and I was doing good in hair and stuff like that. And I think as I got older, from this insecurity of not feeling like I fit in, I started giving out to everybody what I needed to receive myself. And I feel like I feel like it's a lot of women that struggle with depression or struggle with like different anxieties and stuff like that. I do feel like it comes from a place of pouring from an empty cup and not making yourself a priority. And that's what I started to do as I got older, because I wasn't necessarily fitting in these things or feeling like whatever. I started giving out what I needed to pour into myself.
I'm about to cry because I feel like that is literally like me right now. And I feel like I have.
It's okay.
It's okay. Come here.
I don't even want to let the mama go.
Come here.
No, because you'll make me cry.
Come here. But it's okay. And so what I say to that is stop.
Yeah.
Just stop. Concentrate on you and you only. Just know that you are the priority.
I feel like I've been like screaming and nobody can hear me.
Wow. As you're saying that, I'm literally getting chills, because that's what I used to tell people all the time. It felt like I was drowning in front of everybody and nobody could save me. And it's a very dark space because everybody think, you Brii Renee from the A. You show up, you got revolt, you got things going. And it's easy to be looked at as everything is good, everything is okay. But the biggest thing that I learned, and I hope you grab onto it, because that is not a good space to give out from, because eventually you'll just run empty, And I just had a day where I was sick and tired of being sick and tired of myself. And I had to start saying, well, I'm going to make myself my first priority. And anybody that's not okay with that, they're not meant to be in my life anyways. Yeah. If I can't give to myself, what I look like giving out all this, and not saying you're not supposed to, but what do I look like as a woman? Because it was showing up. It's going to show up in every area of your life. It's show up in relationships, friendships, work.
And I'm glad you're saying that, because I tell her all the time, you got to do you.
Yeah.
You got to, I've told you all your life, stop giving of yourself so much to other people.
It's like I never heard nobody say that, but that's what I think it is.
I've been telling her this back. I've been telling her this her whole life, Sevyn. You're giving too much. Haven't I told you, people, they don't deserve that.
Yeah.
People that you're giving so much.
I think I'm giving though because I want it.
But that's the thing, you can't give out. This is the thing about it. And you'll start to attract the friendships that want to give that to you because they see how you treat yourself. people treat you in the standards that you put out for yourself. So if you give me the okay to run all over you because you're gonna be here for me regardless, then I'm going to do that. You get what I'm saying? And no matter how bad, because that's why I was doing it. Relationships, friendships, everything. I'm like, please, like I just wanted to give out everything that I could because I'm like, if I give it to them, they'll show up for me in that manner. And it started to make me more and more depressed because it's like you can't show up for me in ways that I'm not showing as a standard for myself.
Yeah.
Like an empty cup. And it's so crazy that you said that because one day you posted something and it's still in our DMs. You had posted something and I had messaged you and I was like, you want to talk this at a 30? You said, no, I'm okay. And I messaged you back and I said, no, you're not okay. But when you want to talk about it, it's cool. We can talk about it. And you can.
I was literally crying when I'm telling you I'm okay. I was literally crying right there. I already know exactly what you're talking about. Because I just felt like, I'm going to be okay because I'm always okay.
Yeah, and eventually you took it down. And I remember I was telling Annie, I was like, Brii posted something. I just want to check on her because it's so much. Tasha Cobbs has this song called Fill Me Up. And then like the second part of it is called Overflow. And she talks about how she want God to fill her up until she runs over so that she can give from her overflow. And I feel like as women, as people, is you're not meant to pour from an empty cup. You're meant to pour from your overflow. And that's what taught me. That's why I finally had made that break in depression. It wasn't a counselor. It wasn't a therapist. I got inside of Herbalife and they started teaching us personal development. If you get on YouTube and you look up personal development, and it's not really taught in schools either, which it should, which is, to make yourself your first priority and to pour into yourself and to learn how you can grow and to learn, to heal yourself and stuff. And that's when I really put my foot down and just started making so many standards for myself and in my life because I'm like, I wanted all these people to treat me so good and I wasn't even treating me good. Like what I look like asking you to treat me some type of way and I'm not even, because if I stand on myself like that, like if I stand on like, no, I'm not going to answer the phone until I wake up and pray and talk to God and figure myself out, work out. How you going to be calling me all types of night, expecting all different things out of me that I can't give you. And, that's what people are going to expect out of you is what you give out. And I really hope that, as much as we succeed in different things like that, it's going to keep feeling like, because you're going to keep feeling more and more successful. That's going to be there, but you're going to keep feeling that empty feeling. Mm-hmm. Even with all of your success, your accolades, everything that you're going to have, all the businesses, the car and the money, everything in the world, you can't put a price on a peace of mind.
No, you can't.
And you're not going to have a peace of mind until you give that peace to yourself.
And that's what's the frustrating part because it's like, dang, why am I not? Like you said, people look at it and be like, well, you got this, you got that. You ain't broke and depressed. And you know what I'm saying? You're not broke and homeless or, so you should be grateful and you should just be happy. And it's like, okay, so why am I not then? What is, so just trying to figure that out. But I think it goes back to like pouring from empty and expecting what I'm giving in hopes that I'll get that back. But
and
I
Sevyn,
just need to give it to myself.
I will say a million times over. I have preached that to Sabrina her entire life. Sabrina, you're giving too much of yourself to your friends. You're giving too much of yourself to people. You're giving too much of yourself to the world. They don't deserve that.
Yeah.
They don't deserve all of you like that.
But I think it takes to you empty to realize that.
I always tell people it's taken till you sick and tired of your damn self because that's what it was for me. I was like, damn, like I'm really tired of feeling like this. And I remember my friend Andrea, she had kept offering me the Herbalife opportunity. And finally I got on social media and she was still happy. And I was like, but she always talked about, why she works out and doing stuff for herself. And I said, if I could experience 1% of her happiness, it would be better than my 100% because I tell people all the time, I had a lot of money, but no peace. Mm-hmm. And it's like the same thing, is going to go like what you said, your mom preaching it to you, is that you're going to keep feeling like that feeling until you start asking yourself, like, why? Like, why do I keep wanting this? Or like, what type of approval do I need from people? Or like, what's that insecurity that I'm feeding that I feel like
overcompensating for? Or, yeah.
If I don't show up for you in this manner, you're going to stop being my friend. I started saying, so what? Because at the time, all my friends will tell you, like my long-term friends, I cut everybody off. And it wasn't like a cut you off, like we're not friends no more, no nothing. I literally had to start focusing on me. And those people that are still around are the people that didn't take it personal that I had to make sure that I'm good, because what I'm going to give you if I'm not on this earth?
Yeah.
I can't give you nothing. Like, I literally can't give you anything if I keep feeling like every day that I'm drowning and y'all can't save me, and I'm expecting for y'all to put y'all hand out, but y'all can't even see I'm drowning in the middle of the floor. Like,
Yeah.
so once you ask yourself, and I really invite you to really ask yourself, like, where is that coming from so that you can handle it, and then take the necessary steps every single day to work on Brii first. Like, handle yourself first. And I'm not going to lie to you and say it's going to be easy, because it's not. First thing we do is normally pick up our phones, get on social media, check on everybody else's life. But I don't even do that. I pray, I spend time alone with God before I even check into the world, because I need God to tell me how my day go, not what's on social media. But you're going to lose some friendships. You're going to lose some people around you that they normally can call you to do some next level shit that you'll normally break and bend your back to do. And once you start taking care of yourself, you're going to be answer the phone and say, no.
Yeah. I'm going to work on it. I'm going to sit down and do that, because like you said, I'm definitely at that point where I'm like, oh, I am sick and tired of being tired. I'm sick and tired, okay? But that was good. I needed it. I don't know if y'all needed it, but that was me.
No, I'm glad we opened that up, because I was going to talk to you about it when I left. I was about to say, so what was wrong with you that day? Because I'm the type of friend, I'm not going to let it go. Like, if I can see that from you, and you can, it's going to sound bad, friend. It's going to sound bad, friend, but it's not bad. I promise you it's not bad. I let everybody address things on their own. Being around you and watching you in your essence and your moxie, you can tell you give out more than what you receive. Like, it's very evident. You get what I'm saying? So seeing somebody like that, you know what I'm saying, it's your friend, you want to be able to just grab you and say, come here real quick. But you do, like your mom said, got to let you be able to, you get to that point where you like, oh, let me actually
say something or open up.
Right, because what it ends up coming out as is you're not really walking in everything that you are, which means that you don't really know everything that you are yet, because you feel like it's better for people to get, they know who you are. Everybody else see it. And so they able to do you like that, because you don't see
your worth
and everything that you are. Because once you
to come over here,
read you like that. Once you do, I'm telling you, your standards for everything will turn all the way crazy. Like your friendships, everything, because it start making you feel like at the door. If I start being cool with somebody, we building a friendship, and we out and we both looking cute, and you look me up and down once, that's all it take. We ain't gotta be cool we ain't gotta be friends no more. I'm gonna handle you from right then and there, because I can already tell you're not the type of friend that can handle me. You get what I'm saying? Like, you somebody's good friend, but just not mine. You get what I'm saying? Or if I start feeling like I'm overextending myself as a friend, we're done. Or even in relationships. My first week talking to my wife, I told her, I called her, it was a Sunday. I started cleaning up, talking to God. I called her, I said, hey, you're a really great person, but I don't think this is going to work, because my standards for me are just a little bit different right now. I think we can be really great friends. And I hung up the phone. She was at my door in 10 minutes. But it made her, you know what I'm saying? It made her change the standards for our whole going into our relationship. And that's what you're going to walk into. I'm excited for you.
Oh, thank you, friend. How did that happen? Like, what was, when she came and showed up, what she do? Whisk you off your feet? Because y'all been glued to the hip ever since, so she must have got it right.
Child, she wouldn't even leave the house until I was leaving with her. But I was at a space, like I said, I was in a space where, like, yesterday, I may have accepted anything. Today, the price is different. Like, so she had the opportunity to reach me in a space of where I just value myself more, because other relationships, you could have cheated on me. You could have dog walked me from the beginning of the relationship to the end, and I still wanted to stay there and little loyal and, like, oh, God tell you not to leave people, right? And she had just happened to come into a point where I wasn't doing that anymore, and it was actually my first time putting my foot down. So just as much as she was trying to show up, I was nervous. I hung up that phone like, yeah. Like, I celebrated myself. Like, that's how you put your foot down. That's how you got standards now. Like, I was feeling good. And she got to the door and we just got the opportunity to talk. And I was telling her, like, I just want different in my life right now. Like, I want different for me. And I know God will give me, everything. And she did state that it did make her bring her back because she remembered before, and this is why I said you'll attract friendships and different things. It made her bring her back to, she said she remembered before me and my wife met, she had made a list of everything she wanted out of a partner. Like, I want them to, even
my
if
mama
they
always preach about this list.
Even if they already have kids, I want them to have a great relationship with their kids. And I want somebody that has their own income and this, that, and the third. And she said she wasn't dating until she found somebody that matched everything on that list. But on the other side of the list, she wrote who she had to become to attract that person.
Mm-hmm.
Like, everybody be like, what you bringing to the table? You want somebody to make 6 figures? Like, do you earn 6 figures? Like, is that,
you gotta be, or
leveling up. So she, when we got there, she got the opportunity to talk about that. She told me, at that point that I was everything on that list. So she didn't want to lose me at that time. Like, even it was a week of dating, and I'm like,
yeah,
and
this ain't it.
Listen, girls dating each other in a week, things move fast.
Yeah, I was about to say, one thing I have learned about lesbians is that when they love you, they are in love.
They say, you are. In a week, we're almost moved in.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, if I'm like,
yeah.
and I'm really putting I'm putting the standards on. I'm like, I'm not going to have sex for 90 days. This and the third. Like, I'm making
I'm so glad to hear that the young folks thought that they still think that way too, because I was that way too.
As soon as you like them, you love them.
No sex in 90 days. Yeah. I mean, I knew within about, within 30 days that,
you kind of know. You like,
this is a keeper.
Mm-hmm. Do y'all feel like it's easier to tell that with women? Since y'all date women?
I think
it's harder as a woman dating a man. Like, dating a man, it's harder to tell in 30 days. And that nigga still pretending. I still don't even know your real last name, sir.
I think that if you
are you?
Yeah, if you get the genuine person.
Yeah, from the rip.
From the rip, I think you can tell. But if he's still sending his representative after 90 days.
Do y'all feel like women play less games than men?
Oh,
no.
hell no.
She said no.
Women will play more games.
Women play more games.
They gonna take you on a loop, child. Your first relationship with a woman, you gonna feel like you on a crazy roller coaster.
Absolutely.
But,
because you know my scenario. I had to jump through 3 or 4 of them. You know what I'm saying? So yeah.
Women will take you through.
Because I always be getting angry. Like, you know what? After this, I'm done with niggas. I'm about to just go be gay.
No.
I'm going to try it. Like,
no, that don't mean it's going to work. But what I will say is,
it won't.
With women,
nigga. You just can't go be gay. No.
Yeah, you can't.
No.
But with women, it's easier for straight women to just talk to a gay girl or a bisexual girl. You just fall in love that quick. And y'all be a little crazy because, look, I had to put that point out there just in case anybody watching. They're like, I'm going to go do it. Y'all be a little crazy because you've been getting something that you've probably been craving for a man. Because from jump, women get with that emotional. We're emotional beings. So women tap into that emotion immediately.
Like, oh my God, I love her. She just gets me.
Right. And women start feeding into you and everything. And so then you start feeling like it's not just what you doing, great morning. It's all of that, like
everything you always wanted.
Everything that you want from a man, right? And so then that what makes it like that. So I don't think it's harder to tell. Because with a woman, they could be doing the exact same thing that a man could be pretending that at first.
Having a bunch of girls or whatever. They can still play the same games.
Yeah, right. But I do think once you know who that person is, you feel comfortable from rip, and they do too. And so you get the real version, whether you was expecting it or not, because you start feeling like, like me and Annie from jump, I tell Annie everything. I'm like, because from jump, I was like, God, if it's meant to be, I'm going to just let it flow. Whatever happens, happens. I'm going to be myself. Like, I'm going to put it out on the table. And if it's something that you don't like, there go the door.
Absolutely.
And I feel like that's how you feel when you find that person because you're not trying to hide no more. You want them to know everything.
Yep.
And so if somebody ever came and talked to you about your partner, they know everything. Like, you it's like talking to your best friend. So I think if you know that man, because you'll start feeling like comfortable to just
be yourself. Let it all hang out. And there's no judgment.
Yeah.
When you and I tell all the time, when you find that right person, it won't be a tug. Or it won't be a fight. It won't be a battle. Everything will flow.
Yeah.
It'll just happen naturally. And, and believe it or not, it's you'll feel it. You'll know. You'll be like, And then you may not recognize it right away, but then you go back and say, wow, I asked God for this,
Because she talk about that list and
this,
her wife
this.
meeting her list.
The whole, baby, I had a laundry list. And I tell my kids about anybody that know me and my wife, I've said it, I've preached it, and I've stood on it, and I tell them anytime. When God delivers and answers your prayers and send you that person that you asked for and prayed for, and you know that's the one you sent, you don't have to look anymore.
Yeah.
When people say, well, will you ever step out and teach? Why? I got everything I asked for. And I think it would be disrespectful to them and to God if I go looking for something else.
Yeah.
That ain't what I want.
Aside from that connection, though, like in any meeting, like your standards, how did you know that you were ready to get married? Because gay marriage was so new.
Yeah.
I think the year y'all got officially married, that was the first year it was legal, because we were so excited, like, oh my, because they had already been together for so many years.
Mm-hmm.
We were like, oh my God, y'all can make it official now. So I think that was 2015?
No, 2013.
13?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So 2013 was the first year that it was
2013 it came about.
It got legal in California. And we, all the family, we flew to California just so they could make it official and we could be there to celebrate. And
I remember
obviously
that day.
they had been
for when it got
legal, right?
Yeah.
And they had already been together at that time 10 years.
No, 7.
7.
For me, it was symbolic. We had been together 7 years, was the year of completion.
Number of completion.
That's right. And the 8th, we were going into our 8th year, and that was a new beginning.
Yeah. Oh, that's so beautiful. So for you, it was like, okay, it's legal. Let's do what we already doing. But for y'all, it had been legal first.
Yeah.
And then y'all decided to do it. But what made y'all be like, okay, let's make this official and bigger? Because you've dated girls before. I think Annie dated girls before, right?
Yeah. Well,
so what made this one be like, let's marry?
Well, I personally dated girls since I was in the 9th grade, child. My mom was like, open that door the first time she seen a stud walking in. First time she seen a stud walking, I went to a new school, child, started seeing studs. I was like, okay. So and my family knew. I've always been and to know me is to know I'm a very open, straightforward person. Like, so I had already told my mom then, because I didn't even want it to be a thing of like you thinking that, like if I have a boyfriend, I'm probably gonna have a girlfriend too. Like, just so you know. So I had been dating girls, huh?
What's your sign?
A Gemini.
Okay.
She is Sagittarius.
I'm a Sagittarius.
Wow, so is my wife.
Yeah.
That makes so much sense.
We are so compatible. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. And I was the same way, open book. I never hid anything from my mama.
Yeah, it's like I don't want to. Like right. I'm still that way to this day. Like if you ask me something, and I always tell people, your opinion is your opinion of me. Yeah. How I stand on myself, and that's what it's gonna be. It never has to be anything outside of that. So I was very open. And crazy thing is, I brought Annie out the closet.
Yeah.
So,
Lord, yes.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah, so that was now that was different. So, so it's so crazy because when I started talking to her, I was so nervous because Sagittarius have you fooled in the beginning, child. I don't care what nobody say. I thought Annie was like an innocent little angel. So I'm like nervous to tell her stuff. I'm like, child, I'm been through it. So, we had actually, so when we had first started talking and stuff, I remember I was trying to tell her to post a picture because we had took a picture. And I never used to post who I dated, but I started feeling like, let's do it or whatever. She was so nervous to post a picture, and that's because she finally told me 2 weeks later, we in the car, about to go. This is her trying to make up for whatever. And she was like, my mom in the car. I'm like, your mom? God wasn't ready to meet her mom, child. So I'm like, okay. So as soon as before I opened the door to the car, she was like, just so you know, my mom never knows that I dated a girl before. So you're going to be the first one I introduced her to and got in the car. I was like, 90 seconds before you get in the car. Right before I got in the car. So Annie gets in the car and says, Mom, this is my girlfriend. So her mom was like, Annie, like, please stop. Like, she's like mocking her. She was like, stop with all your shenanigans. It's your friend. Is that a third and fourth? Wow, it took her mom like a while to like really understand that. Like,
she was dead ass.
She was serious, like dead serious or whatever. So I had even told my mom, like, oh, I really like Annie. Is that third? But my mom see me date plenty of women. So she's like, whatever, sweetheart, like type of thing. So that was a thing because then like all about our Herbalife team and everything had to watch her come out of the closet. And, Annie's family was Muslim. Well, is Muslim. Mm-hmm. And so it was kind of a little bit harder for her before we decided that we were going to get married because she did have to understand there was some family members that weren't probably going to speak to her anymore. But we was just dating. And then in 6 months, Annie said she had never seen herself get married. She actually proposed. Oh. So her mom said she felt like she was in the Twilight Zone. She was like, what's going on? Because it was a surprise birthday party I had threw for her, and she ended up proposing.
You threw the surprise birthday party for Annie, and Annie proposed to you at the
Yes,
party.
because she said she thought we was going to dinner with just me and her. So she had the ring in her pocket, which is so crazy because I kept trying to get her jacket so that when she walked in, she had his jacket on, and she kept trying to hold the jacket so tight because the ring was in the jacket. But our whole proposal is on our YouTube or whatever. But she had ended up proposing, and I was literally like, oh my God, because she had just came back from a friend's trip. But I had already been telling people, like, I know this is who I'm going to spend the rest of my life with, because in my mind, I just felt like no matter what else happens in my life, what I learned, my peaks, my valleys, the good stuff, the bad stuff, the success, the failures, no matter what happens next, I want to do it with you.
Mm-hmm.
And once I started really walking in that and feeling in that, and I just allowed myself to love freely without being scared of being hurt or whatever else, and like past trauma, that's when I knew. Like, I'm like, whatever it takes. So we kind of like already acted married.
Yeah.
But we finally like tied the knot one day during COVID, and we was just like, we should just go ahead and just get married. And we was like, let's get married. And we contacted the wedding planner, got married in 30 days.
How about that?
Yeah, it was a beautiful wedding too. Y'all have to check it out. It's on y'all YouTube,
yeah,
right?
Being the Buffins. Our YouTube is Being the Buffins.
Yeah, check that out. So, but you said something though that like, and I think a lot of people who are in relationships are like trying to find out see if that person is that one. What was it about Annie that made you be like, no matter what we go through, I just want to go through it with you?
I felt like I was dating my best friend. Like, it was a judgment-free zone. It was I remember telling Annie, I was like, this was my first 30 days being suicidal free. And she was at my house, and I was just celebrating and stuff like that. And I remember telling Annie, I was like, I never want to go back. Like, I'm so scared. I'm so nervous. And she was like, I'll never let you go back. Oh. And it was moments like that, or like when I used to be, it's so crazy to see me now on my social media. I used to be so insecure, y'all. Like weight loss in my face and stuff like that. So I used to, you go from like a drastic weight loss, your face changed.
Yeah.
And I was so insecure, I used to hide myself or whatever. And so when Annie used to FaceTime me, I used to just sit the phone up and so it could be on the ceiling. And she like corrected that. Like, she was just like, you're the most beautiful girl in the world. Like, why don't you show your face? Like, and there was moments like that mixed with moments where I really felt like I was just with my best friend. Like, I don't have to like sugarcoat things for you. Like, of course, once she started feeling like a mirror for me and not feeling like she wanted me to be better for her or like this image she seen of me, but she was a mirror for me to be better for me.
Yeah.
And like, as I got better, we got better, but it still felt like that if I made a mistake, you wasn't just going to walk out my life and we can learn and grow together. That's when I was just like, this is the person that I want to be with. Because I've been in relationships before and I've been proposed to before. Hell, I had said, yeah, one time, I don't know why. But because I had knew like this not.
So you didn't want to embarrass her.
Just like jury, I'm like, shit, give me the raise. But it never had felt like what it felt like then. Like, it was like, it never felt like this, like where I just feel sure. And I feel safe. And I feel like, okay, like no matter what, because you got to find somebody that, because life gonna throw some shit at you. Mm-hmm. That if it's thrown, I'm gonna work it out with you.
Yeah.
And you mentioned something you mentioned a word that truly I believe is a word that every woman should be able to say about their partner. Somebody asked my wife, why did you what made you pick Shalitha? What was that about? How did you know she was the one? In other words. And one of the words she says, I felt safe.
Yeah.
And I think that's significant in any relationship. If you're not with a person, ladies, men, if you're not with a person that makes you feel safe, they are not the one.
You mean safe, not just physically.
Not physically. They can carry a gun and you can feel
your soul, your emotional state has to be safe.
Yeah.
Because me, I'm such a high strong person. I'm like, and my wife would tell me that my Lord, she takes me on so many journeys. She takes me too fast. I'm here. I've got this idea. I got that idea. And I'm constantly trying to move and, shake and, accomplish this and accomplish that. And she's like, the Lord, she takes me on a whirlwind, but yet and still she feels safe. And that's because that stability.
Yeah.
We bring that stability, that emotional strength, there to the relationship. So, and likewise, I feel safe. I feel like she gives me that strength that I need to be able to go and do. Somebody says, "Hey, baby, don't worry about it. I got us. You go, go do whatever you have. We okay. We're fine." And that's what every person needs in their relationship. That ability to be safe.
Like you want your partner to feel like home.
Yeah.
Like home never has to be a location. Your home can be
together.
That person.
Wherever.
That's crazy. You're the second person to say that to me this week.
Mm-hmm.
My boss at Revolt, Monique, was saying that. She was like, you guys should know if your partner feels like home or not. And you know what home feels like. If you don't want to go there, that ain't home.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's because, like, especially for a lot of people never understand, like, when they see like a alpha female or like your mom was just saying, a powerful woman, or you got all these business ideas and you know that they could take off, like a goal-oriented woman, an entrepreneur, a whatever it is that you do. You could be a boss in your job that you go to. When you get home to your partner, you want to feel like
silly pudding.
Like you want to feel safe. You want to feel able to be submissive. Like you want to be like, a lot of men wonder why women don't feel submissive. It's because they don't feel safe. Like if a woman doesn't submit to you, it doesn't matter how strong she is to the world. It don't matter what profession she got. It doesn't matter what she does.
Or how much he has.
Or how much money you have. It don't matter how much money he got.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't feel safe, you're not going to submit.
Mm-hmm.
And a woman that submits, and I'm going to clean this up. A woman that submits knowing her value, not just submitting to submit.
Absolutely.
Whatever. A woman that submits knowing her value is because you feel safe.
Yeah.
And your partner makes you feel at home. And it makes you feel like, if I show you my most vulnerable self, if I show you the part of me that nobody else sees, the piece of me that the world never gets to experience, that is safe with you.
Yes.
And that you won't expose it to anybody.
Absolutely.
I can be this way with you. I can cry to you. You can run off this set and go cry. But the person that you cry to, is the person that you feel the most safe with.
Because it's going to keep your confidence.
And keep your confidence. Because you can be like, I remember feeling that, because I always feel like, even still to this day, I tell people all the time, like, outside of home, I'm that working entrepreneur. People say big Sev and this, that, and the third. But when I come home, I'm a baby. And if you ever see me around my wife, you'll experience it. You'll be like, ain't no way this the girl that was just on that damn set. Like, literally, like, calling her while I'm on my way here, like, I can't believe you just made me drive this far, like, da-da-da-da-da. But when I'm messaging you, like, oh, it's far, I'm on the way, just, so once you feel that, though, you'll start feeling, like you said, and it's safe within both partners, because you'll hear women be like, oh, because, sometimes you'll see a man be with somebody for a long time.
Okay.
Then he'll get with that next person, and immediately it's different.
A completely different
person. They probably be married and everything else, and people will be talking so much trash about that thing, like, oh, he probably still cheating on her, and da-da-da. It's probably not that. That man finally feels safe, because it's just the same thing for women. Like, as a woman wants to feel safe, a man wants to be able to feel safe as well, to be able to let down that guard of everything you have to be in a man and different things like that, and be able to feel like you're home.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's big. Okay, so was it Sevyn safety and all of these things that made you be like, or did y'all know getting married that y'all wanted to start a family, like, and have kids?
Well, personally, I always wanted to have kids.
Okay.
I've always wanted, like, you see certain stuff on TV and all that, like that family dynamic, the matching pajamas and different things like that. Like, I always, like, genuinely wanted that, like, that type of, like, Christmas under the candles type of thing. So, like I said, defining those standards, I immediately told Annie once we got together that I wanted kids, because I wanted to be very upfront with whoever I was with, that, like, I'm not changing for nobody else. I'm not holding my life back for anybody. Just so you know,
this is who I am and this is what I want.
I want kids. Like, I genuinely 100%, I want kids. And that came from, and I'm sharing this just because, some things you share for yourself, and then some things you share so that other women can heal in their process. When I was younger, my first year of college, child, I just swear I was about to have a boyfriend. Threw me for a loop. Having sex, I had got pregnant my first year of college, being straight freshman year of college. And I remember sitting down and...
You come in and go to them.
Oh, I remember sitting down and, you know, when I found out I was pregnant, I actually found out at the doctor with my mom. Thank God my mom was there. And it was so crazy because, you know, I was there, and at the time I had still like had a girlfriend. So my mom not thinking, because I haven't even told her like
you were dating a boy.
Yeah, if I would have told her that, she would have been like, girl, shut up. Like, no, you're not. So I was dating a boy or whatever and just having fun, I call it, because I feel like that's what you do in college. You just be doing anything. And we went to the doctor because I was having these crazy headaches. Like, I couldn't even get out of bed. Like, so I'm on my mom's couch. I come home from college. I'm literally on her couch, like, throwing up and crying because my head hurts so bad. But I normally have really bad migraines as a kid. So she like, let's take you to Scottish Rite. You know, Scottish Rite is the children's hospital.
Yeah.
So we in the children's hospital, and I'm just sitting there, and I'm just telling my mom, and my stepdad is there, and I'm just crying. I'm like, I can't go back to school like this. Like, I'm going to be failing my semester classes. Da-da-da-da. At the time, I had straight A's. So my mom's sitting there. She's like, it's okay, sweetie. And so the doctor comes in, and she's like, would you like your mom to leave? And I'm like, for what? Like, no, like, she can stay here. And so she tapped me, and she was like, are you sure? The nurse, I'm like, yeah, like, what's up? Like, I already don't feel good. And she said, oh, we're going to have to transfer you across the street to Northside Hospital. So at this point, like, me and my mom just like everything like in me drops, because I'm like, there's something wrong with my brain. Like, you know, like, I'm like dramatic. And I'm like, what? Like, and she's like, yeah, you're pregnant. And I said, oh. So as soon as she said you pregnant, girl, the headache must have been gone. I grabbed my stuff. I grabbed all my shit. I started leaving. My mom's like yelling my name. I'm like, no, let's go. It's okay. I feel fine. I don't want nothing. I'm not going across the street. No, nothing. I'm like, this has to be a joke. Like, so as soon as we get in the car, because my stepdad just started cracking up laughing. As soon as we get in the car, my mom says, so, but how did that happen? What did you start seeing guys? And I'm like, oh my God. So literally like sitting there confused. And my mom knows like how I am. Like, I was like, I want to be married. I want a family. Like, having a baby earlier was like not in the cards for me, like at all. And so we went and sat down, you know, with his parents, because my mom was like, well, get his mom.
Yeah.
Like, we not going to, you know, this going to be everybody, because I was devastated. And I really felt like, my mom was protecting me in that manner, because I had told him. And of course, he had told his mama, and my mama called his mom and was like, let's get everybody in the room. And he played basketball. I cheered. And my mom was like, oh, you know, like, it's your decision, sweetie, this, that, and a third. And a few moments that I had alone with his mom, she kind of made it seem like if I had a baby, my life would be over. Like
you so young.
But I really think, you know, and I get it. I think she was protecting her son in that manner too. Because I'm a boy mom, so now from seeing it from the other side, I wouldn't recommend that, you know, but I would still be kind of like,
think about this all the way through, and what this could do.
I would make both options feel equally, as, you know, because as I say that because it kind of made me leave feeling like that. That if I had a baby, I wasn't gonna have the support from the other side of the family. Which again, I'm a daddy's girl, so that made me feel like devastated.
Mm-hmm.
For two, it made me feel like even if I had a baby, I would be ruining not only my life and my career, but I would be ruining his life. And at the time, I didn't really value myself that much. So I was thinking of the other people in it more than me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I actually started this nonprofit thing that we did called She Can Have It All, because I do feel like even if you do have a child, that you can flourish in different things in life, because no, everybody will talk about abortion, and which it is fine for women that have that choice and when it's necessary and when you want to, but nobody talks about the mental and emotional state for women afterwards.
Absolutely. Me and my homegirl was talking about that you actually can go through like a version of postpartum from abortion.
Oh no, it was bad for me.
Yeah.
Like, it was terrible for me. For one, like, I couldn't even hold a baby. I couldn't hold a baby. I couldn't look at one. I couldn't be around a new mom. I couldn't see him on TV. Like, I would literally, like, my body just felt like it would be like, I didn't want to be around people with kids. Like, I couldn't go to anybody's baby shower. I couldn't do anything because
Were you angry or what would you feel when you saw
I don't know if I felt, I started to resent the people around me a little bit for not feeling like I had more support of like, you know, and then I started feeling like a failure. Like, I'm like, what if I'm never able to have kids? 'Cause I remember watching For Colored Girls and she had got the abortion and then she couldn't have kids. And so I'm like, what if I can't have kids and all of this? So I literally like had went through like, and it made my depression and suicidal thoughts worse. Like at that time, I was cutting myself a lot. Like it was to the point where like, still even on like this arm, I can still see some of like, even though I have tattoos and stuff, I can still see some of the cuts and different things like that from when I was like spiraling. Because it was like, for one, I'm young. And then it was just kind of like, where do I go from here? Like, I never even wanted to see him again. Like, it was so many different things that I experienced. And everybody made abortion seem like so easy. Like, you walk in, you get the abortion. I remember sitting, it's so, I don't know. You're sitting in a room with a whole bunch of other people that's getting an abortion. Yeah. And you got some people in there that's vets. I remember one girl was telling me it was like her 10th time. Yeah. So I'm like, well, shit, that's just one for me. So I guess, you know, if she was cool. It was another girl in there that was just like, you'll hear girls in there that's just crying because like their parents are forcing them to be there. So it's so much going on. And then, you know, like you don't really remember like the actual process or whatever. And I feel like everybody made it so like, oh, if you're going to get it done, it's fine. Your life will go back to normal. And it didn't. You know, like that after effect really affected me. So it made and I remember having a dream, and it was a dream of me young and me with a kid, and I was a great mom. And it made it worse for me because I was like, dang, like I really could have been a great mom. So I always said I wasn't going to let it harbor me. What I would use it as anything in my life, I would use it as a testimony. So now anybody that does come to me with that choice, that option, that decision, because I've had friends that brought that to me, I always say, if it's your choice, it's your choice. But let me let you know of some after effects that happened to me so that if I can keep that from happening to you, so that you know the other side and so that you know that you have the support and that you can have a life with children young and it be everything that you need. So from that moment forward, I use it as a testimony for me, but I also said if I ever got the opportunity to be a mom, that's what I was going to do. And so I made it my thing moving forward. I'm like, my biggest goal in life was to be a mom because I wanted to be able to pay myself back for that moment of feeling like that, you know, that I felt like I knew in my head, like, oh, I'll be a great mom, like, you know, but I just didn't value myself enough in that time to make a decision for me.
And you are a great mom. I watch you, mom.
Thank you.
You're a mother of 2 boys now.
2 boys.
So you've been doing it. You do it very well on social media. You make it look easier than I'm sure it is.
Child. And I got 2 on. Well, they're not 2 under 2 anymore. We got a 2-year-old and a 1-year-old, and they run me. They run the house. I'm the girl of the house, and they run me through it over there. But it is everything I dreamed of.
Yeah, and you went through the process first. You carried Parker first, and you decided to go through the IUI. So tell me a little bit about what that journey was like. Like after you had talked to me and decided, okay, I'm about to get ready to go through this. Like, what were other than like thinking about what the child was going? Because I know you spoke about that a little bit early. What were your concerns? Maybe even for yourself or your family, like your marriage and your relationship?
Well, for my marriage, like I said, from the beginning, I said I wanted kids. So if you didn't want kids, that's kind of like why your mom said make the list, because people done got married and you want kids, the other person don't want kids. And that could have been something in front before we fell in love.
With carrying, like with you being the one carrying, did you have any concerns about what Annie's relationship with Parker might be? Or?
Well, no, because Annie is the oldest of 7. And she loves the rock in here that she hasn't even met yet. You get what I'm saying? Like, she's just, that's how I feel like, I always feel like all Sagittarius, they're like very loving, like, they love everybody. Yeah. Like, I feel like they love everybody with no judgment. And that's because they're so carefree in life. Like, no judgment, no anything. So Annie was very, like, loving and different things like that. So that wasn't even a concern of mine. And surprisingly, her and Parker, I wouldn't say they're closer, but her and Parker are like this. Like, you would think that she carried him and breastfed him, like, because of how he won't even go to sleep unless he's in her arms. Yeah. Like, to that point.
And that's crazy because that's kind of how I was with my nana, her first wife, who she was with at the time when she conceived me, is when I was young, like, even though I was my mama's spitting image and her twin for sure. They like, oh, you look just like your mama, just light skin. I still clung to my Nana so much more. Like
I used to be jealous of their relationship. I was like,
was you jealous?
A little.
I think you were too.
A little.
You were jealous of my love for her or her love for me? Like as a partner or
Your
as a
love
mom?
for her.
yeah, because seeing your partner love your kid that's a feel good feeling. But seeing the kid
Love
feel
you
like,
more than me.
yeah,
It's like
I carried you.
right.
That's because you was all discipline.
But
She was all nurturing.
But somebody has to be.
Right,
I
but
have
as
to
a
be.
kid, you want the nurturing. So, that's why
Well, it can't even be that because I'm the nurturing and Andy's the discipline, and he's still just
clean to her.
yeah. So I wasn't really worried about that. I think my biggest fear was I was not knowing if I could have kids or not because I'm like.
You thought that abortion had scarred you.
I'm like, because you do have some people that get abortion or whatever else that, the scar tissue or whatever. I'm not sure. But all I know is I seen For Color Girls and it was the worst. Like,
right, I'm just in that experience.
Have you ever seen the movie?
Yeah.
I'm not really sure why people watch that for fun. It was
no, it's a terrible. I mean,
he did his big one with that one. The acting is on point, okay?
Right.
So that's what I was.
traumatic though.
Yeah, like, I'm like, okay, it's never like, let's pull out a movie, like, let's watch For Color Girls. Like,
Right.
it's never like, it's one of those, maybe have your daughter watch it just so you can see life. So that was more so what I was scared about. But I started doing my research and I knew that like it was going to cost some money and I understood. And I was just like, let me, and I did, I can't lie, I did start asking around. And people wasn't really that, you were kind of more reluctant than anybody that I had asked like anything. And now going through the process, I kind of get it. And
You said I was more what?
you were like open to telling like everything. And like when I was trying to like reach out to other moms, I had some moms that would like share, but it was kind of like
superficial.
yeah, like it was kind of like something I could have Googled, like
Oh, really? Like what? Like what would
like, oh, well, what did you do? Oh, I went to the doctor. Okay, what doctor? Like, where do I go? Like,
what was this process like?
what
step
was
by
this
step?
process like? And that's why we ended up making like a video on it because I kept saying like, I would want to be able to find this information a little bit easier, like if I decide. So, the first time we went, I found a fertility doctor in Atlanta. And the first time we went through IUI and I was going to the doctor and different things like that. And, I remember going to it was a nurse that was there. And I'll never forget this moment. I went in the bathroom and cried afterwards. She was just like, okay, so just to let you know, so this may not be successful. And I was like, huh? And she was like, well, just to educate you, it's just the possibility of just like having sex. And she was real like, and I understand you have to do your job. But I feel like in that type of scenario, because you start going to the doctor every single day. And, they started us on hormones. So my hormones are out of whack.
Yeah.
Like immediately. That medicine is expensive as hell. My hormones are out of whack. And she's telling me like, you might not get pregnant. And I feel like in that field, of course you have to state the facts, but I feel like you can be a little bit more gentle with women. So I remember crying. I cried to the doctor. I cried to Annie. I was like, I never want to see this nurse again. Like,
That is so unfortunate because I remember going through the process and for me, I had this, I don't know if Mary Lynn was nurse or what, but I know she ran the center and she was wonderful.
wow.
I mean, she was absolutely wonderful. Marianne, I think now teaches, I think she's at Piedmont.
Oh, that's
She
fire.
does some work at Piedmont now. We talked probably about a year or so ago. But I thank God for her. She was absolutely wonderful. And what's strange is the way that they try to make more money off of it now.
Mm-hmm.
I would have, having gone through what I went through, I would have never told you to take hormones.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. The time that we did get pregnant, it was no hormones. So
I would have told you
Did
never
you
to
have
take
hormones?
Absolutely not. Let me tell you, it took me educating myself along with Mary Lynn educating me. A lot of times what they don't tell you is that women naturally have buildup in their fallopian tubes.
yeah,
For a number of reasons. Some of it because sometimes all your menstrual don't flow through. Some of it is, you may have some growths and things of that nature. So what Mary Lynn recommended to me, and I would recommend to anybody who's trying to get pregnant, before you go get pregnant, and this is damn near Phil a fail-safe way, a proof of getting pregnant, is to go get a hysterocephalograph.
What is that?
That is simply
Cleaning out your tube.
cleaning out your tubes. It's simply a procedure, and it's painless. You may have just a slight bit of cramping. They put dye. You go to the doctor, and it's a test you order. You go to the doctor, and your insurance paid for it. I went to the doctor. I said, I need to have a hysterocephalograph. And I guess the doctor was like, what the hell?
Hysterocephalograph.
Yeah. And he's
I could barely pronounce it.
He said, he's like, well, what? But this has become, I educated myself and understood what it was about and how it was. And she and I talked about it, and she said, yeah. So once I did that, I went to the doctor. It took all of about 30 minutes, an hour to do it. They give you this stuff to drink. And what it does is dye that goes through your fallopian tube, and it comes out. But they tell you what you do is, at that point, they say, blow your tubes out. At that point, your tubes you're open.
Yeah.
And they say, do not try to conceive the first month, because you'll stay open for about 3 to 6 months, or about 6 to 9 months, I think, after it. So what you do is the woman has to have a menstrual after you have that procedure to flush your system. That flushes you out, because that dye could cause some complications. Baby, once I had that, the next month when it was time to be inseminated, boom, it is knucklehead is.
Well, see, I wish I would have had something like that, because we went through the first time, and I remember at the first time finding out that I had PCOS at the doctor. So that nurse saying that, I was like devastated, because I already found out now that I have polycystic ovary syndrome, which is less likely to get pregnant in general. So the first time we went home, and we did the insemination, and I was excited. And you already going to the doctor every single day. So just to give you after you have your period, basically you go to the doctor for the next 2-3 weeks, back to back to back, every few days. And so, you're visiting the doctor. And my first time, like I said, I was on YouTube, Google, trying to find everything.
But you know what?
Running myself crazy.
I think that's the way that they're making money
Off of it.
Yeah.
That's why they
because you're not really doing much.
You're not. Let me tell you something. We went through the old-fashioned way. We had a chart. We started charting my temperature. The first time it was a hit or miss. The first couple of times I tried it, it didn't work. Then that's what we decided to do. We blow my tubes out. After I blew my tubes out, that was it. That was done. But see, there's a lot of things you got to do in between there. You literally, I tell women that want to get pregnant, you literally have to check your body temperature. Your body's going to tell you everything you need to know. Check your body temperature every morning before you hit the bed, because there's a gauge. You can only get pregnant within if you do your research, women can only get pregnant within a certain window, like a 72-hour window.
72 hours.
So you got to do your homework. You got to check your temperature, write it down every morning. Write it down every morning before you get out of bed. By the time you start, it's a cycle. It's a timing right after your cycle. And if you want the course, come call me. I give you the free course. But there's a chart, and you can just about chart that ovulation period.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got to know, you got to be able, and I bet you nobody spent the time to tell you how to check yourself.
Yeah, the third time when we went to a completely different doctor, that's exactly what they had us do. So the first time, I remember they said, go home, and after you did all the damn doctor's appointments, all these hormones, we got videos of Annie shoot me up with the hormones, and the hormones was treating my body like I was literally felt like I was driving myself crazy. It got bad, because Annie would just be like, I'm so sorry. Like, because I was acting crazy towards her. And the first time I remember sitting there waiting, and they like, this is the most devastating part. They say either, you'll get your period or you'll get a positive pregnancy test. And I got my period first. So I went in the bathroom and wiped myself. I was devastated.
Yeah.
Like, I felt like I didn't, mind you, I'm already mentally telling myself, I don't know if I can get pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
And then the lady tells me I have PCOS. So now I'm like telling myself all these different things. So the first time I was really devastated, like super devastated. And the second time I started doing a little bit more research, like your mom said, on me versus just the IUI process and stuff. And so the second time I was a little bit more focused, and it wasn't as devastating as the first, and it was a fail. Mm-hmm. And I remember like, okay, well, it's been a fail this time with this doctor twice. And I didn't really feel comfortable with the nurse or whatever. And I said, granted, she's high performing and stuff like that, but I want to go to somebody else. And The second IUI, she had actually went out of town and she had to send me next door to get the insemination. So I remember feeling comfortable with the doctor. So I just went next door and we scheduled an appointment with him. And I was telling Annie, I was just like, I really want to have kids. Like, let's just go ahead and do IVF. Like, I'm tired of spending money doing IUI, which is when they place the baby directly into your ovaries. And I was just like, I'm tired of spending money doing this. So I remember walking in and the doctor said, so you want to get pregnant? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like an older guy, very old school. It's Pathway Fertility Group for anybody. I would highly recommend them. And he walked in and he said, and you said you're here for IVF. And I said, yeah. He said, how old are you? And I told him. And he said, how many times did you try? He said, well, I'm not doing that. And then I was just like, well, why? And he was just like, well, he said, you don't need all that. And it's finally what I started feeling like. He said, it's a waste of money. Like, he was like, I wouldn't want to waste your money. And I finally, I felt like this is the doctor.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're not even talking price tag or anything else like that.
He's giving you good.
He's giving me good. And he was like, well, when's your last cycle? And I told him. And then he asked me about the hormones and stuff. And he said, you did it with the hormones twice? And I said, yeah. He said, well, clearly that didn't work. This is him, just being real. Like, he said, your body probably didn't need all of that.
Don't.
And I'm like, okay, well. And he was like, well, when's your last period? And I told him. And then he said, all right, we get started in 2 days. And I really was so in shock that I don't feel like I heard him, because when we got in the car, Annie's like nervous and this, that, and the third. I'm like, what's wrong with you? And the next day, she was still nervous. I said, what is wrong with you? She was like, you don't know you start the IUI cycle tomorrow? Like, that's what he was saying. And I was like, what? So we went, and this time was completely different. And I always felt like God knew that this time was different. Like, I didn't have to go out and buy thousands of dollars of medicine. He said what your mom said. He said, we're going to check your temperature every single day. And he was just saying, because on my way to the third time, I always tell people this, on your way to getting pregnant, just get in the best shape of your life. Prepare your body to welcome the baby and stuff like that. So the third time, I remember I didn't feel nervous or nothing. I wasn't YouTubing nothing. I was just like, God, just if it's meant to be. And so we went and did the third time with him, and we sat there for a second and we just prayed and we cried and laughed, because we're friends. And I remember it was finally time to take the test. Now, the first 2 times I was sneaking and taking tests without Annie and everything, like running in the bathroom, throwing the test away because it wasn't saying positive. I'm like, oh my God. So this time I waited on her, and we went to the bathroom, and it was the day. Like, we're like, okay, today's the day. Like, I had on my little cute pajamas. I'm ready. I'm like, today's the day. We're going to find out. I'm like, either way I go, it's whatever. So I went peed on the stick and I passed it to Annie. And I'm like, I'll just wait the 3 minutes and we're going to set an alarm. I set the camera up. I set my camera up because I'm like, this is the time. I really feel like this is the time. And I set the camera up, and I remember the alarm went off. So I ran to grab the test. And as I'm grabbing the test, Annie's using the bathroom. And I just throw the whole test at her, the box and everything, because it looked like it was negative. And I started crying. And I'm like, I can't get pregnant. Like, oh my God, like I'm devastated. And I'm trying not to cry. Annie grabs the test and she says, no, babe, look. And I look at the test, and it's like the smallest little faint line on the test. And it's the smallest little faint line. And she said, no, look, it's 2 lines. It's you're pregnant. And I'm like, she's like, it's a little faint line. And like, at first I couldn't see it because I was really crying. And I wipe my eyes and I break down completely because we're finally pregnant. It's the smallest we still had a pregnancy test to this day.
Because you early, it ain't all the way.
I couldn't believe it. It's the smallest little line. And so each day after that, I tested just to make sure that we're pregnant. And I'll never forget that moment. Thank you. I'll never forget that moment because I always tell people it can take the smallest little line of faith to get you to that time. Because I was so devastated. I threw the test away. I was probably about to go out and have a drink and everything, child. I'm like, it just didn't happen. We're not pregnant. And Annie she had so much faith. She grabbed the pregnancy test right off the floor, and it was like the little smallest faint line. And now Parker is here.
Oh, Lord.
And I love it because Parker, what was Parker's dad ethnicity?
So we went, and a lot of people are so confused on this, and I'm so glad that I can address it in a space I feel comfortable, because everybody always like, why you did not podcast? I'll be like, the people get on there and try to get you to talk about anything. So because remember you talked about, did I ever care about Parker and Annie's relationship? When we went to we went online to California Cairo Bank, and they let you. I don't know if y'all went through this process, but they let you go through the donors and you could hear their voice. And
no,
you couldn't hear their voice.
We didn't hear the voice. I had a book.
Okay, you got a book. So they have it like online now. It's digital. You can see the baby pictures. You can pay to see their adult pictures. You can hear their voice. You can hear their interviews.
Damn, you had to pay to see their adult pictures? You
Yeah.
got to see his adult pictures?
No.
No,
I never saw any pictures. See, they do it a little different now.
Oh.
I
So
never saw
this
any
time
pictures.
you can pay to see baby pictures. Like, that's free. And then to see the adult pictures and to get a more profile, you have to pay like a higher price. So we pay for everything because I'm like, well,
I want to know.
I want to know, right? And so going through them people is I felt like I was losing my mind.
Yeah.
And he had to eventually end up doing it because I'm sitting there listening to the interviews and I'm like, okay, I'm so excited. And I always told myself, I didn't care the race of the donor. I didn't care what they looked like. I wanted a clean bill of health. Because as soon as you get on there and you're looking through people, you might see, and I didn't care what nobody looked like because you could be the cutest person on this earth.
You got
But
some of the serious
if you got
health
some of the
issues.
most serious things that's happening in your family, like if you look on there and you pay for the extended, you can see like when their siblings passed away, their parents, their grandparents.
Yours had that on there.
And some of that stuff on there is serious, like
Cancer.
like, and it's like, it's not saying that those things are bad, but if I can prevent that being in my child's future because I can just get somebody with a clean bill of health, then that's what I wanted. So I was going through and I filtered it through to where I wanted a clean bill of health. And child was listening to them interviews. And one man got on there. He said, this is what made Annie finally decide because I was just writing stuff down. Like, I'm like, oh, I'm taking notes
Keeping
on
notes of
everybody.
people, yeah.
This man got on there and said, I don't like anybody but my grandmother.
What?
And I was listening. I told Annie, I said,
He sound like a serial killer.
I said, right. I said, this man is a psychopath. I'm like, now I'm going to go pick through. I said, imagine if I don't listen to every interview, the whole thing, and I'm going to get somebody that only likes their grandmother. And I'm like freaking out. So I'm already like YouTube and all this stuff. And so she finally takes over the whole thing. And we agreed that no matter what race, no matter what ethnicity, that the donor had to have a clean bill of health.
Mm-hmm.
And my biggest thing that I stated was that, you know, if Annie couldn't carry and I wasn't carrying her egg, I kind of wanted Parker to look like Annie, like a little bit. Like, and so Annie had called her grandma and she had went through asking like every, you know, like all their family history and stuff like that. And so we had ended up filtering it to, you know, if the donor was either Black or if they're Indian, because Annie is Indian, white, and Black, which a lot of people don't know.
That makes sense with that complexion.
Child, everything, right?
Right.
And or when we uploaded her grandma for her birthday, and everybody's like, "Who's that white woman you're with?" And I'm like, "That's Annie's grandma," right? And so that's how we end up picking his donor, is because I was just kind of like, okay, because a lot of people like, oh, you want a mixed baby. Like, this is the thing that they say about lesbians, that lesbians want
mixed baby.
baby.
And then, you know, they're
We
so
had to
ignorant.
go through that with us, too.
We've been through that. People are so ignorant. And and I'm so
they
glad
swear
that,
you hate yourself.
yeah,
or
and I was
you-
so glad that I didn't have social media coming along and I didn't buy into the bunch of that bullshit. I picked a donor, like you said, in my opinion, was the best pick of the litter. Okay.
Yeah.
And I didn't give a damn what he looked like. So, you know, I'm like, hey, I had no Black men to pick from.
Yeah,
But especially back then, that's the 80s.
but
when she-
listen, even now, if you go on the website, it's not a lot of Black men to choose from in general.
Yeah.
And especially it's not a lot of Americans,
Thank you.
Black American men to choose from. So when you go on there, if you go on there, you just say, well, I just want a Black baby. Cool. You go on there and you start looking at people's bill of health, and you'll completely change your mind. You don't know what type of
Mm-hmm. What
you know,
options
what
you have.
what options you have. And that's what it was really eye-opening for me. Like, I don't want, and this, you know, this could be selfish of me as a mom. If your grandparents and stuff passed early on in life, your parents passed early on in life, thank you for donating your sperm for whoever wants a baby. But I don't want my child to, I'm worried about your health 24/7.
Yeah.
Like, I'm trying to do everything 24/7. So as long as I can get a clean bill of health, you know, we can get a clean bill of health. I didn't know what Parker was going to look like.
Right.
You know? And I honestly didn't care. Like, I'm just like, you know, I really want a baby. I want a family. And I actually didn't know everything about the donor until, you know, Annie finally was just like, this is the donor that I chose or whatever. And this was the best option for us. Because I also have a sickle cell trait.
Mm-hmm. So you have to be
And
careful there.
So I can't have a baby with somebody that has a
Has
C
sickle-
trait.
Trait.
Oh,
Right.
okay.
Because then, you know, your
The
child
baby
more than likely will have
has sickle
sickle
cell.
cell. So there's a lot of options like that. So Parker is Black and Indian.
Okay.
Is what he is. And it's so crazy because I had so many people that was, like, we had to go through so many comments of like, oh, you want a mixed baby and different things like that. And, I'm personally one of those people that if it ain't about blessings, like Tiana say, I ain't even going to address it.
Yeah.
And so I ignored it a lot. But then once the people started asking me, I wanted to let them know, like, because people started actually, and this was very different for me perhaps to deal with, people started actually asking me for Parker's donor. His exact one. Like they seen Parker and, we didn't show Parker for 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
And that was just for my own self because I share a lot with social media and I wanted something for me and my family and my dad hadn't seen Parker yet and I didn't want him to be all over the internet. The same thing with Peyton now. And so we didn't share him for 6 months. Now? Peyton is about to turn 1 year old. It's so crazy,
and
right?
he still haven't been on you ain't showed his face.
We haven't showed Peyton on social media at all.
Yeah.
And we just wanted something for ourselves, for our families. And honestly, now it's kind of like a little bit more dealing with it with Parker, and which is why we waited a little bit longer with Peyton. When you're on social media, you subject your kids to a lot of things that they don't know that they're aware of, or the people around you don't know, that they're aware of or whatever. Like we had a stalker and she was talking about stealing my kids. Like this is a stalker off of social media.
This crazy.
She knows us off of social media and she showed up to our gym and everything. And her biggest threat was that she was going to kill me, take Annie and take our kids. And, and you would think that this is, like, you would, at first you're like, whatever, this girl
like
crazy.
You just playing, yeah.
But then once you show up at my gym, you're actually, like, admitted into a mental health place and we have to get a restraining order and stuff like that. Then you start seeing it different because if a random person has my kid, you know what my kid looks like.
Right.
And you're not aware of this that's going on in the back end, you can snatch my baby. You get what I'm saying? Like, or people have walked up and said, oh, this is Parker off Instagram.
And it's like, you don't know him. You don't know
him. Like, don't touch him, right? So we did keep him to ourselves a while. And once we did start showing him, Parker and Peyton, both, they look like little baby dolls. Like, they look, that's that. Some kids just automatically have their face when they came out. And so people that were, and it was some straight women that were doing IUI. So it wasn't just lesbian couples asking like, oh, well, what's the donor? Like, where you went through it? I'd be like, oh, California Chiropractic Bank. And they'll say, oh, no, what's the donor number? I want my baby to look like your baby.
No.
And that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
For one, that's not going to happen because
you don't like
your
me.
Genes, right. Your genes and his genes made Parker.
I know when you went through the process, you said you knew other women that used the same donor.
Yeah, there were pictures of the babies there.
From my dad. So did that help you pick?
No.
Okay. I don't feel like when you don't want to, some people don't care about I don't care about the looks.
Right. Because me and him was going to make something totally different from what, he produced with somebody else. So no, that was never interest or concern.
I'm just trying to figure out how,
Because you look like your mom, but just a different skin complexion. And Parker looks like me with just a different skin complexion. Like we have the same hair and everything. Right. And so the thing that was confused about it to me, I was just like, what, like, like, that's why I said, that's why I said some shows and stuff we had declined and stuff because, like, what would make you want, like, the exact donor number? Like, I just started leaving people on red because I'm like, no matter what.
You like, being weird.
No matter what, you
shouldn't want a baby to look like somebody else. You should want a kid that's going to look like you.
Yeah. Uniquely you.
Right.
So after going through the process, did you have any, like now you get pregnant, you about to have the baby. Do you have any concerns about the baby growing up during this time? Like, I guess around the same time you asking me, like the things that you were asking me, what were your biggest concerns about your child coming through this process?
Well, my pregnancy was a little different. I had to get rushed to emergency surgery to have her supply. So I was on bed rest for a lot of my pregnancy. In which a lot of women have to get it, in which is kind of like your cervix is open and when they have to stitch it so it can be closed so that the baby won't come preterm. And that was something I had to handle at first. And so at first I wanted a healthy baby. And I wanted him to get here because depending on the doctor you have, and like your mom said, a lot of doctors and stuff now, it is kind of like money for them. They'll tell you anything, and it's not really as much like loving on women as it should be, especially Black women going to doctor's appointments and stuff like that. Like I really advocate for. We had a midwife Angelina, which we did a home birth, and she did my appointments and her birthing team the best hands down. So my first thing was just having a healthy baby. But of course, after Parker came, I was just kind of like, when he gets older, I think my biggest thing is when he gets older, that I didn't want him to be mad at how he got here. Like, I just wanted him to know, in which I changed my focus, because how you talk to yourself always gonna listen.
Mm-hmm.
And so I stopped telling myself that he was gonna be mad at me, and told myself as long as I raised him in a home of love,
That's all that mattered.
Mm-hmm.
that was all that mattered. Like, it doesn't matter if you got 2 moms, 2 dads, 1 dad, 2 dads, 1 mom, 1 dad. If you got 2 moms and 1 dad,
Yeah.
it don't matter. As long as you're raised in a home of love, that I can and communication, because I communicate with my kids right now. Like, I communicate with them, and that's because as they get older and I talk to them, you won't resent me, but we can have an open conversation and you be understanding and be appreciative that I still loved you as a mom and that your other mom loves you also.
Yeah.
And that we can talk about this. And you
Yeah.
made me just feel better, because it wasn't like you never spoke ill of your mom at all. Like,
Yeah.
even with our
At least not
conversation,
publicly.
not a public, not a public, right?
Right.
In our well, let me not say spoke ill of her, but I'm saying of your parenting or of your life, and
Because I did have more love. To your point, I recognize that from growing up with my friends who did have a mom and a dad in their household. They wanted to come to my house. They felt like my house was more functioning and healthy than theirs was, or like, wow, everybody's communicating. And I realized when I went to other people's house, oh, even though I got 2 mamas, I ain't really missing nothing. Like, you know what I mean? Because it's
Right.
more love. It's about the structure, the hierarchy, like how the household is run.
yeah, and
that
a
makes the child.
lot of kids,
And
They don't-
stability.
The stability.
right? A lot of kids, they don't care about who's at the top of the household, but they do care about how they feel coming into the house, leaving the
Mhm.
house. Like, even if, you get discipline and stuff like that, but still feeling like it's love on the other side of it. And I don't think there's perfect present parents, but there are present ones and there are loving ones. And that's what I started just switching my goal to be. Like, I wanted to love my kids. I want to understand them. And I want to have that household, like you said, to where even if my kids' friends don't feel that at home, that you can walk in our house and you can feel it.
Yeah.
Right.
And that you don't even feel comfortable speaking on, my kids and them having 2 moms, because you already see how we hold our house down and how we
And
hold
but-
our
but
family
Absolutely.
down.
That's how all my friends are.
Right. And then, but you also got to protect him to let him know that they're going to be those adults
Yeah.
of his friend, the parents of his friends are going to be the ones that are going to be nosy.
And that's actually who
ask the
said the
dumb
worst shit to
question.
me growing up.
The
It
dumb-
wasn't other kids. It was grown people that would say things to me about what they thought, or questions they would ask me that would be completely inappropriate. Like, my friend dad asked me in kindergarten, like, do you see your mama's kids?
Well, that's a lot of it is people. The reason why it comes from adults and not kids, because kids are naturally wired to love all things, and they
Mhm.
don't have the hatred, and they don't know about the jealousy and the this and that. Adults, most of the time that you hear that type of stuff from, they're projecting
Yeah.
their own insecurities, their lack of love for themselves, their lack of whatever is going on in their household.
and their ignorance.
They're in their
Mhm.
ignorance of not knowing what's going on and not actually wanting to ask questions to the adult, because they're too scared
Yeah.
to be open, that you're curious to want to know. And so they put it on to the child. That's like with anything in life, though, when somebody put some type of hate or negativity or something onto somebody else, it speaks more of them than it does of you. And that's them dealing with, I say all the time, that's people's own shit.
Yeah.
Anytime somebody do something, I never take it personal. I'll be like, that's their own shit.
That's they should.
And like your mom said, that's what we want to be able to teach our kids also. Like, you can always bring it home and feel comfortable talking to us and whatever else, but anybody else, that's their own thing, and they may not understand, and we don't have to fault them for that. That's them.
What do you want Parker and Peyton to know when they see this 20, 30 years
Oh my God.
down the line?
Wow.
You
That's
should have saved
emotional.
that for I Want to Know.
Okay, hold it. Think about it.
Okay.
We reached that time.
Yeah, we have reached that time. Saying this was a good conversation.
Wonderful. We got to have
just
you
been
back.
flowing.
We gotta.
One last thing. When you went through all that stuff publicly, we ain't gotta get into it. But when you and Annie, decided to conceive with Peyton, and you guys, how the conception went through publicly, what did that do for y'all bond? I always wondered, like, how, like, how y'all were doing.
Well, that's a good question. Our household, our life, we live off of a little different standard of everybody else, in which I think all marriages do. It's just not public.
Mm-hmm.
And that for us
absolutely. I think that is true. And I think that's the reason why people don't be getting married, because they think marriage is one thing and not realizing it's customizable.
So
but
ours
continue.
is that inside don't let the outside determine the situation. So anything outside, that's a little dirt. Don't quote me. Anything outside never affects what's going on inside. The house can be on fire. We're not leaving until we figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
You get what I'm saying? And I think that a lot of time that when things happen like that, a lot of people run to other people, and the strong front is going to be, I go through hell and high water, everything else with my wife, and I'm never going to be against her.
Mm-hmm.
There's never going to be able to be anybody that's against us. This, at the end of the day, this is us,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And it's always going to be us versus anybody else. So I think the thing that it did, if anything, was it showed people how close our bond is.
Mm-hmm.
Because at the time, you know, my wife wasn't speaking on social media. And
but you was on the land.
I'm a, you know, and it's so funny because somebody had tweeted and said, that damn Sevyn, she don't ever address shit. She thinks she's such an unbothered bitch, is what was addressed. And I said, you know, it's not that. It's just, you know, what I gotta address you for?
You, yeah.
Like, what do I have to, as long as we're good, my house is good, this is an understanding, I don't have to worry about or dig down into the opinions of other people. Mm-hmm. Even still to this day, with anything that I do in my life, as long as I'm good with me, I don't give a damn what anybody else thinks. Hallelujah. As long as I'm good with me, I go to sleep at night confident in who I am, and I wake up every day as myself, and I can live in that. What you think of me isn't even extra. It's not necessary. It doesn't matter. Ooh. You can tell me your opinion. You know, people be like,
you, my love.
People be like, oh, somebody compliment you, that's extra. No, I already gave myself all the compliments I needed before I left the house. So it's not extra. It's not even necessary because I don't go looking for it. I don't need it. And that's the same thing with that self-love. I don't go in the world looking for love. So how y'all feel about me doesn't matter because I already done handled me, right? And that's how we felt about everything that was going on in that time is we already handled us. We already straight. We already good. We been new. We been taught.
Yeah.
We been aware. So anybody else finding out on the back end or whatever anybody else had to say, it didn't matter. And what it did for us is it made us stronger together because we was able to see it. We unbreakable.
Yeah.
That's really it, because a lot of people they need the opinion of others. They need the respect of others. And for a marriage, when you go into it, some people want, and which is why their marriage may not survive as long, is their marriage is this white picket fence that's defined by everybody else.
Except them.
And maybe I don't want a white picket fence. Maybe I want a condo.
Yeah.
And I don't want my marriage to be the white picket fence and a 2-car garage. Maybe I want a penthouse.
Right.
So with that, it makes you look at marriage differently because it's not some cookie cutter thing. My marriage is defined by me and my household and what we want to do.
Yeah.
So when you voice your opinion, it don't matter because this is already defined and written. So we don't care about outside opinions or comments because inside don't let the outside run the situation. And any type of strong relationships or marriages or things that you see, even down to friendships, you know, and we've seen it because we've had friends that got tore down on the internet, and you'll still be right there because you know what's going on the inside, and you're standing strong and solid in that friendship because you're not letting the outside determine your situation. And and once you do get married and you're with your husband, you'll start to see because you get to define what your household looks like, what happens, and everything else, and you address everything in private.
First. Yeah.
You know, if I'm wrong, one thing I love about my wife is if I'm wrong, and I put this in my vows, because she always corrects me in private, never in public. Like, you was wrong for that. Like, you could have said that. Because my mouth is, she's like, you could have said that a little, but we wouldn't be in public. And she'd be like, you could have.
Yeah. Okay, well, on that note, it's time for the record. But I feel like she just set the record straight.
Yeah, we don't need it for the record.
For the record, it's like where we usually set the record straight and say anything that needed to be cleared up, like either, each of us or social media. And I feel like that was a great for the record. For the record, inside, don't let the outside run it. So what's up? You got to put a record.
For the record, I just want to tell all the women out there, whether you are in a heterosexual or a lesbian relationship, don't let these doctors pump you up with all these damn hormones because they're not needed, okay? There are some natural things you can do and some things that you can do and learn that will help you along that journey.
Yeah. I don't really have for the record. I think those
My
two.
for the record is for you.
Okay, go ahead. Oh, not for the record for me. Go ahead. For the record, what's up?
For the record, Brii Renee from the A. Self-love is the best love, and this is for any woman, you're growing through things, you're in life, you could be having the best life ever that you feel like. You cannot pour from an empty cup, and you can only pour from your overflow. So it's important for you to take the time to take care of yourself, define standards for your life, standards for your relationships, standards for how you want others to treat you, and that's all going to be based on how you treat yourself.
Amen.
So it's going to be very important for you as this example you are to so many women, to so many other people, for you to be that for you. So for the record, self-love is the best love. Conquer yourself before you conquer the world. And that give out to others, your friendships, your partners, anything else from your overflow. Let your cup be filled up by you and you keep it filled up.
For the record, I'm going to take that. And I'm in a season of reconstructing. I feel like God is making me bust an illegal U-turn in the middle of the street right now. So I'm like, and it's crazy because as soon as I started to feel like that, our pastor, last night on Bible study, I was like, I feel like God is redirecting me. And then I was like, let me just spend some time with him last night. And then I put it on, and the Bible study was making a U-turn. I said, okay, God, I'm listening. I'm about to make this U-turn. So for the record, who you see today, by the time this come out, I'm already be done busted
Whole new person.
Right?
Whole new person.
New person. Okay, so it's time for I Want to Know. I Want to Know at the end of each episode, we ask each other something that we want to know, and we have to answer honestly and truthfully. So obviously, I already asked mine, so you can answer. Mine was for you, Sevyn, and you can ask me or my mom whatever you want to know. But mine is for you. What do you want Parker and Peyton to know when they watch this 20, 30 years down the line?
I think my biggest thing for my kids to know right now that I want them to know later is that, in which I don't want to feel bad about it. I feel like every woman takes a time in life where you sacrifice a little bit of time for a whole lot of time. So I would want my kids to know that in their younger years, I did cherish every single moment. They were loved, but mommy wanted to spend some time grinding it out, making the necessary sacrifices so that they can have the life that they are living in now, which feels like a dream. Because I feel like, we never have that conversation with our kids that we sit down and let them know, like, because they're young, like, you're not going to know, like, mommy is about to sacrifice a little bit of time right now so that you could be straight forever. And that little bit of time matters because I want my kids to be my why and not my why not. And I don't want them to look at somebody else's life and dream that their life was that happy or that loved. Or I want to make sure that, because, my ceiling is their floor. And I want to make sure it starts very high. So I would just want them to know that even in my moments of grinding it out, that they were loved no matter what.
I think we all know that, even just from watching and following, like they in every day. She like, we're taking patient mornings.
A patient morning comes now. You rushed in the morning. Everybody be like, what does a patient morning mean? A patient morning is
I'm like, I wish I had a damn patient morning when I was waking up.
Kids are rushed in the morning. That's why we do homeschooling right now. You rushed out the door. You rush to get dressed. Most of the time, the mom isn't up yet, so you're rushing and so we do a patient morning where we wake up. I give my kids probably about 100 kisses when they wake up. Annie kissed them on up when she come home from the gym or if she's there. We let them get up out of their bed on their own selves and smile, or if they mad, if they want to, take a second. We tell them, it's okay. You don't have to be mad when you wake up. And we take them into the kitchen. We spend some time all having breakfast together and just spending some time to love each other before the day starts. So
wonderful.
Patient mornings.
They are loved. What y'all want to know?
You go ahead.
Go ahead.
I guess I want to know, are there any more kids in the picture? Anymore?
In the
Yes,
future?
I'm pregnant right now. No, just fine. I'm preparing. I'm preparing myself for my next Beyonce announcement. Last time we ended out still 6 months. This time I'm gonna try and do a whole Kylie Jenner, whole pregnancy. Yeah, so we do have a gym called Phoenix Fit.
Mm-hmm.
If y'all didn't know, we've manifested all of our kids. So we have our athleisure line, which is Parker by Peyton,
Mm-hmm.
which is Parker and Peyton, and then we have Phoenix Fit, which is our gym. So I do want a little mini me. I do want a daughter. I don't know if it's gonna be a daughter's, but Phoenix is happening. I am currently back again, getting into the best shape of my life.
Period.
So I don't know when, but there is
It's in
definitely
the
a third
plans.
baby.
All right.
You think 3 will be the final number?
3 will be it, because 2 is taking me down. 2 is taking me under. 3, I am done. Like that's a wrap. It's a wrap at 3.
Okay.
All right. Any I want to know is for you.
Yeah. I want to know. I know that probably was maybe like a scary decision back then with seeing Brii or like getting the process, and it was kind of like you said when it wasn't happening before, so it's something brand new that you were trying. Seeing Brii like in her now and everything that she's become, like how did that make you feel about your decision then?
I have had no doubts, no regrets, and I thank God for the opportunity. The only regret I have is that I
Not
didn't
do
get
it
it again when I was much younger.
I was gonna say she actually said she would have did it again, which I was surprised because I was like, you ain't even like kids like that.
I didn't.
But
I didn't like kids, but for some reason, when you have your own, your whole life, your whole world, your whole perspective change.
you think you would have used the same donor?
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely, absolutely.
I mean, I came out fine.
Yeah, you had all 10 toes and 10 fingers.
So I got all my toes and fingers.
Yeah, you were fine. Yeah,
Yeah.
I would have done it again. Absolutely.
What you think made you not think about doing it again there?
Because I still was
Grinding
I
and
was
hustling.
grinding. I was still, really, really into my hustle. I was still grinding. And I had already sacrificed so much with your sister. And then with you, I was able to not grind as much, but I was still in that mode. And there was still so much left to be determined. So I didn't want to.
And you a hustler much like she was too. And to your point of what you were just saying, you want them to know is like, I'm so grateful that I got to see you hustle and grind. Like, I think now, like, am I really doing my kids a disservice by trying to set myself up first and then have kids? Because I learned so much through your grind, your hustle, and so it taught me a lot. And it was, I guess, character development and preparing me for entrepreneurship too throughout it. But as a kid, I didn't really understand it and I did resent it. But I think that if you having them open conversations earlier on, it prepares them and lets them know, like, okay, it's not you choosing work over me. You doing this for me.
I don't think it's a disservice. I just think that when the time comes,
Yeah, it'll be right.
The time will be right. Like you won't feel like, because honestly, once you start having kids, for some women, I'm gonna say for some, because for me, it made me hustle 10 times harder.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So I think when the time comes, you won't feel like, it'll just make you feel like, oh, if I have a baby right now, then it'll be cool.
Yeah, because, I can truly say that my first child was like, it turned the switch on for me. It's like, damn, I got a mouth to feed now. I've got to put myself in a position to be able to take care of this child. And I got to go back to school. I got to get an education because I've got to be able to at least, if something happened to this job, I've got to be able to at least go out and get another job and compete. So I need to go back to school. And so the first child made me go back to school, made me get my education, and then go on, pursue my dreams and go to law school, and the second child made me realize, shit is really expensive. I got to find some other means of, trying to get this, make this happen.
Paying made me into super grind mode.
Yeah. So your kids kind of put you in a different mindset and it brings about a deeper determination.
Well, I'm blessed that I have beautiful, determined, hustling mommies like y'all
to
have around when that time comes.
Oh,
when
thank
that time
you, baby.
We can't wait to have that little chunky baby.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Once you have one, we can do a pregnancy pack if you want to.
No, it's okay.
When you get pregnant,
we know. Yeah. All right. And on that note, that is another great episode of Mommy and Me. Thank y'all for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe and like, comment, and share. And of course, follow Sevyn on all of her platforms. Tell them where they can follow you at.
So we have Instagram, that is Sevyn the Stylist, and YouTube, Being the Buffins.
Being the Buffins. And make sure you following and checking in with Parker by Peyton. I'm one of the fitness models.
And I meant to bring you something today. We just had a drop, but we have an athleisure line, Parker by Peyton. And if you're ever in Atlanta or if you're visiting Atlanta, y'all make sure y'all come stop by and drop in a workout with us at Phoenix Fit. Your first class is free on us. You can register on our app or on the website.
Yes, follow her.
Thank you so
follow
much
them.
for joining us.
Thank you
so
so
much. It was amazing, y'all.
All right.
All right, y'all. Good night.
Good night. Good night.